Okay, it has now been several days since I've done a strengths video, and there's a lot of reasons for that, or a lot of potential reasons for that, but one of them may in fact be that I do not have high discipline. So that is the strength we're going to cover today. And I definitely do not have discipline high in my DNA and my divine natural abilities. So where is it for me? It's actually my number 19 strength. So it's kind of in the no man's land. It's kind of in the middle. Doesn't really help me, doesn't really hurt me. It's just there. It's kind of like flyover country. You've heard me talk about that before. As far as Kim, she has it lower than I do, but still it's in that flyover area. She has it as number 26. So this is not a strength that we frankly, it's not a strength we even come across very much. We do coach a few people with high discipline, but not a lot. But the people that do have high discipline, I absolutely love, and I love working with them because, and that's usually the way it works. Whenever we do not have a strength high, to be able to work with somebody that does have that strength really just kind of fills in some gaps and gives us, it just helps us out. It helps us to do things in a way that we couldn't do on our own, right? I mean that's kind of obvious. That's the whole point of this. So let's jump into discipline and let's carve this thing up and see what makes it tick. All right, so discipline is an executing strength, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but I always think that there are certain strengths that have another strength in another domain that they're kind of similar to, and discipline definitely does. And this is here what is going to sound really weird to you. I see a lot of similarities between discipline and harmony. I really do. Now, for those of you that have been doing the strengths for a while, you may say, Ron, you've lost it. Discipline and harmony. I got my mentor Eddie looking over my shoulder here, and Eddie's probably going to watch this video sometime and say, Ron, what was that all about? But let me explain. Discipline is a lot about about creating ritual, creating those habits and the structure and order. And when you have all those things, when a person with high discipline has those things, and their day moves, they're accomplishing things that way. Remember, executors here, executing strength, they're making things happen using discipline. It's like a self-propelled engine. They actually build on it. So the more discipline they can have, the more joy they're experiencing. And then the more joy they're experiencing, the more discipline they can have. And so it just hums along. It just rolls and it flows. And that's what harmony, I think, is a lot like also. Harmony is a lot about flow. And when I get into the sinister side of discipline, it's also, again, very similar to harmony because there's an interruption of flow. And the reaction a lot of times can be the same. So, but let's stick with the sacred side of discipline, and there's a lot of great things to be said about discipline. Now, I think discipline, like many strengths, is largely understood. We think most people that do not have discipline high say, "Gosh, I really wish I had high discipline. I would be able to, stick to my diet better. I would be able to achieve my goals better if only I had discipline." Okay. So be careful of that because that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't always work that way. So as we're talking about discipline and we're realizing it's about that flow and feeling that flow, it's not necessarily about the output of work that's happening. It's more about the endorphins that are firing in our brains when we think we're being productive. And a lot of times, I myself am an extreme executor. Even though discipline is not very high for me, I understand as an executor what it means to just get busy and to get into a rhythm of something. and and just how important that is to me, and how that makes me feel. And it is a high. I mean, it is a again, that kind of self-propelled engine. Even without the discipline, I still get that as an executor. But people with high discipline get it in a very unique way. So they really enjoy, they really feel joy, they experience joy by being immersed in the order in which they create. So when they can create order and they can flow in that order, they feel invincible. They feel like Superman in that process. So as a person who does not have influence or high, one of the things I greatly appreciate is how disciplined people kind of break things down. They kind of make things very clear on what's to be done next. We do this, then we do this, then we do this. It's a very step by step by step process. Boom, 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 boom. That's discipline. Boom. And it never stops. It's perpetual. It's perpetual motion. So again, kind of like that engine analogy. I had in my previous career, I had a boss, and one thing I really liked about this boss was that when I was hired and I started in a kind of a low level position, an entry level position in this particular industry and for this particular company. And he was very clear. He said, all right, here's what you need to do to get to the next step, to get to the next promotion. And so I had to take classes. I had to go back to school. I had to achieve certain things, learn certain things. And when I did these things, just boom, I could just check them off. I love that. But he had that. Obviously I didn't have his strengths. This is way before I heard about the strengths. But it was a great process because he created a process I could follow. And it was boom, 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 boom. No surprises. It was just, when I did this, I checked it off. And sure enough, when I checked them all off, hey, Ron, you're getting a promotion. Hey, Ron, we're moving you to this level. Hey, Ron, we're doing this. And I love that. It was so clear and concise, and I valued that greatly. So if you have discipline low, but you're able to work with someone who has discipline high, these are some of the benefits you're going to get from that person. So there's genuinely a lot to be loved here in discipline. Even if you don't have it, find somebody that has it, because they're going to help you out tremendously. So let's talk about where it can go sinister. So obviously, one of the things that's going to go sinister with this is a lack of flexibility. We're going to be a bit inflexible sometimes if we have high discipline. Disciplined people do not like flexibility per se. They have a regimen, they have a procedure, they have a routine, they have order. This is where the person with high ideation might annoy or frustrate the person with high discipline. Because the high ideation person is the person that comes, hey, I got an idea. Hey, let's try something new. Let's try something different. Hey, I know this process works absolutely perfectly, but I have ideation and I'm here to mess up your system. That's what ideation people do. They don't mean to, it's just who they are. They have to try out new ideas. They have to think of new ways of doing things, even if they're not better ways. That's just part of their creative outlet. So this can be very frustrating for the person with discipline. So keep that in mind. Don't take it personally. It's not that they're trying to disrespect your system. Honestly, they probably are respecting it, and it kind of captivated them. And they got your system got them excited enough to come up with a new one. Think of it that way. So that's kind of the thing that happens. But yes, it can get sinister, and that lack of flexibility is definitely a big part of that. So as we get unflexible, we start to see anybody else that we work with that's not on board with our discipline, not on board with our policy and procedures. We start to see them as a saboteur. And that is very problematic. It gets to where it's very counterproductive, and pretty soon your productivity is going to start to tank. Why? Because the fact of the matter is, no matter how disciplined you are, this is a very important message for all of you out there with high discipline, no matter how progressive you think you are, how productive you think you are, understand this. When you go sinister and the strength goes sinister, and you start shutting people out, you're going to get less productive, because you are going to be more productive just like everybody else if you're working with other people. And everybody defines productivity differently. Everybody defines discipline differently. So you have to allow for that. You have to build into your mind, okay, and think about it for a minute. Think about a person that I've talked about this example before, where I'm an executor, which means I love to do things. I have to make sure things are done the right way. That's who I am. It's what I do. It's how I do it. I have to honor that. That is sacred to me. Kim, on the other hand, is more of a chameleon, but she leans into strategic thinking. So her ideas, or her thought process of productivity, is about thinking through things, thinking through the processes, not necessarily physically doing it. So this could be a very big conflict for us, because I'm defining productivity one way, she's defining productivity another way as a strategic thinker. So what happens if you're a relationship builder and you decide to define productivity based on how much time and how many connections you can make with other people, even if it's just socially? Okay, so that could be a very good way of feeling productive if you're a relationship builder. So these are all things to keep in mind. So those of you that have high discipline, you're going to have to understand this. This is the best way to keep yourself from going sinister and losing your productivity, which is what you claim to value more than anything. You have to make sure you're allowing other people to define productivity their way. By all means, share your vision, share your thoughts, but don't be closed-minded to it, and don't close yourself off from other people because they do things differently. The other people you work with are not sabotaging you. When things happen and things change and variables change and it throws you out of your flow, that's why, again, talking about the harmony strength, this is something that these two strengths have in common. When something throws us out of our rhythm, or throws us out of our flow of how we think things should be done, how things should be happening, then that's when we get very judgy and we get very close-minded, and we start to shut down, and then we go inward. A lot of people with high discipline tend to want to work alone. They're more comfortable working alone. But that's a double-edged sword, because they will never be as productive as they could be if they learned how to work with a team. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. New video coming soon. Until then, of course, as always, inspiration starts here.